Well, this could have been a kidnapping story that could have ended in tragedy. Thankfully, in this case, it's quite the opposite, in fact. Now, of course, the legal side of this is the court hearing of the three suspects in the kidnapping of this 11-year-old girl in Mayfair back in November. But I don't want to give away all the details, but it's moving quite quickly, isn't it, Barry Bateman? Hello to you again. So this 11-year-old girl held hostage, really, for 48 days. And I know you spoke about it earlier, but thankfully, no physical injury to her.
Yeah, quite right, Gareth. That operation on early hours of Wednesday morning, it was the Crime Intelligence's anti-kidnapping task team, supported by the Johannesburg Flying Squad, went into this building in Devlin, Soweto, kicking down doors and rescuing this 11-year-old girl who had been held captive there for 48 days. She told the police that she was held there by two men, but fortunately, physically unharmed, but of course, the support she's going to be needing psychologically. Not just her whole family as well. I spoke to the father on Wednesday saying it was just too early to speak publicly about this, and we're going to give them the space that they need.
No, and obviously they need to give as much space as possible, but everyone going to be asking questions now about the court case around this, because it's not just the two suspects that I just mentioned in my intro to you. There's actually three, but we've really only got details of two so far.
Quite right. We had the two that appeared today. They were arrested in December already. They made a previous court appearance. The matter, there was no bail application. It was delayed or postponed so they could confirm certain particulars about the accused. We came back today, and what the court heard essentially is there's a bit of a quibble about whether or not accused number one has previous convictions or not. According to the state, he's got a previous conviction of armed robbery as well as theft, and I think there's assault there as well. The accused tells the court that no, these matters were successfully appealed, but he's happy, or they're happy, to abandon their bail application at this stage until such time as those matters are confirmed. They're going to let the police do their investigation. So we're going to be back next month to find out whether or not there's any development on those particular aspects.
All right, so that's the two, but I suppose the third person, which we need to talk about, we have to make life even more complicated. Now we have to bring in extradition treaties and discussions, don't we?
Yeah, and the arrest of these two suspects is significant, because what we understand is that through the investigations by the anti-kidnapping task team led to the arrest of these two particular individuals. Working these individuals, now I don't have the confirmation yet, but we suspect that they might be Section 204 witnesses. In other words, they might have turned state witnesses. They assisted the police, then tracking down this third suspect who just managed to slip across the border into Mozambique, but he was arrested on the 31st of December. Extradition processes are now underway to get him in South Africa to stand trial on this exact case.
Forgive me if I ask you just to speak, Gareth, for a moment. When I spoke to you a little earlier, you mentioned a Schedule 5 or a Schedule 6 crime was one of the issues being dealt with. For someone like me who doesn't understand what that means, why does the court have to define what it is? Because I imagine it's going to decide how to approach the case.
It decides on how the individuals will approach their bail application.
Okay.
So in terms of the Criminal Procedure Act, a Schedule 5 offence, the onus is on the accused person to show, and there's a couple of criteria, that they're not a flight risk, that they will not interfere with the case. There's several criteria that they have to meet in order for the court to be satisfied that they can be released on bail. A Schedule 6 offence, if it is considered that, and this would be the case because we're looking at kidnapping plus somebody who's got an existing criminal record. So if it's a Schedule 6 offence, there's a greater onus on the accused. Not only do they have to meet the requirements of Schedule 5, but they also have to show exceptional circumstances why, in the interests of justice, they should be granted bail. So there's an additional hurdle that they have to climb because the person is considered more of a flight risk and a danger to society.
All right, so Barry, I'm not too sure. These are the visuals, I think, of the room where the young girl was found. Is that what we're looking at?
That's right. And this is after the police had been through there. You can see, obviously, it's been tipped upside down. The bed that you can see on the left there, that was flat on the floor. I've seen pictures before the police have gone in. There it is right there. You can see where the bed was located. And the police have obviously gone in there, pulled out the cupboards and so on as they process and look for evidence. But that little room, there was no ablution facilities in there. There's no running water in there. So for those 48 days, this 11-year-old girl was probably using a bucket and was bringing water and food into the building.
Well, at least small graces, Barry. I'm sure parents would agree, is at least no physical harm. It was that she didn't suffer any physical harm. Barry Bateman, for the moment, thank you. Of course, going to stay on top of this story for us here on all angles as well. Let's just remind you of